Hi guys, this is Melanie, and today we're going to talk about the last portion of the double reed playing test for today, with questions being explain breathing technique for the oboe, why is it important, what happens if you don't breathe with good technique, explain tonguing, articulation, the oboe reed as if you're teaching future students, explain the technique using the half hole, which we covered, and a G major scale. If a mistake happens, identify the mistake and give 3 possible solutions. So I'm going to kind of go through this, talking about this. So the first thing is going to be breathing technique on the oboe, right? Breathing is really important with any wind instrument, as is it's the fuel for us, right? When we're breathing, we want to make sure that we're not breathing from our shoulders. We're not breathing from our throat. We're breathing from down in our diaphragm, taking a nice deep open round breath, bringing air in, and if you can hear, I'm bringing a lot of fast air in, and filling up the bottom of my diaphragm. That's actually one of my favorite exercises to do, called blade breathing. The only difference is with the oboe reed, you actually have a little bit of it may be a little different because you're putting a double reed in your mouth, but it's honestly not that different compared to a clarinet, saxophone, anything like that. And of course, with new students, we're going to encourage them to start breathing and making sure that they're actually getting accustomed to the muscle memory of a wind instrument, which is, again, you've never really breathed like that before until you have to. So that's really important. Our next portion of this is going to be tonguing and articulation. So when we tongue on the oboe, the tip of the tongue is going to barely touch the tip of the reed. It's not going to be the sides, not the middle, just the very front edge. And we can just say ta instead of tu. Tu can sometimes have a little bit too much tongue to it, so ta may be a better example. If the tongue is going to touch, if the tongue is like too far back on the reed, you're going to get kind of not a crisp or nice attack. We're going to practice with short quarter notes on like a regular pitch. For instance, I think G would probably be a good one, just like how we did hot cross buns, and this week we're doing a G major scale. So if I was going to teach a student, I would probably do it like that, and I would also probably practice like that. Also, you can use a mirror to take a look at what it looks like to actually articulate the double reed, what's it called? Making sure that you're not moving your instrument around while you actually tongue, right? Just to actually make sure that it's all together. So the half hole is our third question that we had about. So basically how we do this is our left hand index finger is gonna move like just a little bit up, and it's literally just enough for part of the hole. And the only reason I actually kind of knew about this is because I had to play a recorder, and at some point I actually had one in here where recorder you actually have to do the same kind of thing, where you don't, to be able to get it up the higher octave, you actually have to cover half the hole. So it's kind of like that. Again, I've never gotten to play an oboe, so I think it's kind of like that. To be able to practice that, we can just kind of practice going between C and D, and we're gonna practice rolling the finger up into the half roll, right? And you're gonna do the same thing when you go up to E, because that same half hole, it's required to actually go up to there. Sorry. And first, I would honestly practice just between C and D, just because once you get the action between 1 to 2, like one note, it becomes easier to do, right? You don't want to overwhelm yourself by thinking you can't do something because you're trying to do too much at once. Just try one note and do it really slowly. I would probably do it with a drone tone to make sure that you're getting the right pitch and that your air support is actually going through all the way. If I had my instrument, I would show you that me covering up the half hole too much, which is not gonna actually allow it to produce the sound. Lifting the finger instead of rolling it like this, completely off of the instrument, and then also just not really thinking about my air support while I'm playing the instrument is also kind of another like good way, not good, sorry, it's not good, but that would be another thing that I would show you of what students would most likely do. So, we want to look in a mirror sometimes to see what our hands are doing, and also what our like air support, our face, embouchure, anything is doing. And again, practice is always key with all this. So the next thing that would be on this assignment would be the G major scale on the oboe. G major is, of course, has one sharp in it, which may be tricky for new students, especially if they've never heard a theory or reading accidentals before, and it depends on how you're teaching them. So, we're gonna make sure that we have good speed of air, our air is fast and it's not, it's being supported by our diaphragm. We're making sure that our finger movement is actually smooth and it's not, you're not getting tripped up by the notes. And if I was to be tripped up by the notes, I would recommend to myself and to a student to go and practice until everything kind of got smoothed out, going one note to another and one note to another until everything felt really smooth, and I wouldn't move on until each of the notes felt really good. The other thing is, make sure that our half holes are actually half holes instead of covered or not covered. And again, making sure that our airflow is really direct. That's it for me. I really appreciate what I've learned in 1-1 Tech this semester, and I thank you for watching. Thank you so much.